I'm Dave Morse, been with MITRE for a long time. MITRE supports the CVE program. Part of that is the secretariat role, and the secretariat gets you your credentials. Now, the secretariat doesn't do this in a vacuum. We need the roots. And so let's say you're not with the MITRE route. Let's say you're with another route like JP Cert out of Japan or any of the other ones. We love the roots. As we grow the program, they provide a critical role. For any CNA that needs credentials, they go first to their root where you can get guidance and help and a link to fill out the application to get your credentials. So we're going to start this process of credentialing by going to your root. The credentials you get will be for your organization. You'll get individual credentials by person, but at least one of them will be your organizational administrator. And that administrator, once you have that account, can create new accounts internally through CVE Services without the secretariat creating a new one for everybody. Don't need to do that. We give you that first one with the admin power to create more users within your organization. And they can create CVE records or reserve CVE IDs. You'll have at least one admin for each organization to do that. So you contact your root, they give you a link, you fill out the application, the secretariat generates at least that first set of credentials for you. If your root is MITRE, just go to our web form, cve.org, go to the web request form, request your credentials that way. We'll be happy to help you as your root in that case. So the account types are organizational admin, and that admin account means you're able to use the CVE services. And I apologize, I think I'm presenting my slides, but they may not be appearing. Can somebody let me know if you see my slides?
I see them.
Okay, super. It doesn't show that way on my screen, but good, good. Okay. So we're looking at my first slide here, slide 51 of the deck. And again, you're going to all get this deck afterwards, and it'll be available for download. And many of these talks will end up being videos on our YouTube channel as well. So you get an organizational admin account, and then you can create more user accounts within your organization. Um, you need these accounts in order to use the API, whether you're using a client or directly in the API and CVE services. And you'll be able to reserve IDs, create records, update records, etc. You have to be an authorized user or administrator for an active CNA to have an account. We're not giving accounts to non-CNAs, people outside of the program. Uh, uh, more more discussion on what is the role of an ADP or an independent researcher. That's stuff for the community to decide later. Right now, we're issuing accounts to CNAs. So what is a group account? You may have heard of this. A couple of organizations have them. It's one of those shared email address type accounts, but they're a little special because we want to make sure that we have traceability for individual actions whenever somebody's working with CVE services. And so whenever an organization says we'd like to use a combined or shared account, we want to have a side discussion with you to make sure that we're treating that with care. We will go through a sort of agreement process that your organization is going to do that individual logging to trace what your users of that shared account are doing. So there are extra steps. If you have a special need for that type of account, please talk with us. Start with your root and then come to us. We'll be happy to talk more about that. Now I'll look for questions in the chat. So feel free to put questions in the chat and we'll have a little question session after this if anything comes up. So where can you use these accounts? The new CVE Services provides the ability to reserve CVE IDs through that IDR functionality, right? And to submit CVE records through the new ARSYS functionality. Now, in CVE Services, you're only using JSON 5. Okay, so you get your credentials, you use a client or directly through the API, you can reserve IDs, you can publish your records, you can update your records in JSON 5. And then you can manage your users through IDR. You can, if you're the organizational admin, you can create new users through that API. And the clients, at least two of the clients that are out there right now, have a GUI interface to help you do that management as well. You're going to get this slide deck, and I've got some links here. Talks about for record submission through the GitHub pilot during the transition phase that will still be available, only JSON 4, but we have a link here for you if you need it. Also, of course, especially for smaller CNAs that may only submit a couple CVEs a year, we would still love you to use the automated services. But if that's difficult for you, you'll always have the option of the web form. Right now, only JSON 4. CVE Services does have, and I saw some questions about this in the chat earlier, two types of accounts, production and testing. The production accounts, if you've had them already, will continue to work after the upgrade, right? You don't need new creds. Same with testing. As it implies, these are two different instances, right? So when you're publishing a record to production, that's going to the live database corpus. If you're going to testing, that is not part of what the world sees. That's a testing environment. Any more questions about that? Please follow the links to the information on the automation transition for more detail about testing, or for the API documentation, the Swagger documents that'll help you learn about those endpoints if you're either interested in developing your own client or have questions about how the clients work. So what do you do? First, you go to your root. If that's MITRE, great. Send a request through the web form. We'll be happy to respond and help you. The roots confirm that a CNA is active, that you have a valid CNA with an active status. And then they provide the CNA with all the guidance they need to get credentials, use credentials, solve any problems with credentials. We want those roots involved as we grow the program. The roots role's critical to helping us manage the community of CNAs. So once a root says, "Yep, this is a good CNA," and says, "Here's the link for the services account," the CNA then fills out that online application. The secretariat processes that. We validate that it's a good request. We review the application. Missing info, we'll reach out to you, no problem. And then we generate the creds and we send that back to the CNA. If there's any technical problem with getting the creds to work, email us. We'll help you through that, or reach out to your root. So the secretariat has the overall management responsibility. In the off chance that, whether it's malicious or unintentional, if a CNA is doing something silly in CVE services, the secretariat can block them. That's a short-term emergency thing. And then we work with the CNA to figure out what the issue is. We generate the organizational admin accounts. We can reset credentials for you if you need that. And we respond to misuse or other issues. Of course, if a root sees a problem, they just reach out to the secretariat and we act with that root, of course. Um, in your organization, once you've got credentials as an organizational admin, you manage your own users. Uh, your users have access to the endpoints with their good creds. And then, yeah, I've covered all this. But gosh, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in chat. Let's see what's next here. That's pretty much all I had, a pretty short discussion of how we get creds, what they're used for, etc. I don't see any hands up, but I might be missing something since I'm presenting. Anybody have a hand up that anyone can see? And let me know if there are questions in chat. I haven't been reading them.
No hands up. I do see a couple questions, but it looks like they've been asked and answered for the most part. The last one was, should I reach out to the secretariat in case I need to make existing account in OA?
Sure, we can change that status. If you have an existing account and you need a quick technical change, whether it's a key reset or change the role from user to admin, we may reach back to you to validate that that's a good request. We might reach out to your root if we think we need to, but sure, reach out to the secretariat. We'd be happy to respond. You can do that through the web form if you want. Great. Any other questions? Hey, I like
Right.
it.
I
Let me
see one more. They're just verifying, do they need to do anything else right now, if they have credentials?
Nope. If your production credentials worked in the past, they should work now with after the upgrade, and same with testing. Good questions.